Carl here from Brrraaains A Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for short. Album review time as we're talking about one of my favourite bands in the entire world. It is Saor, the musical entity, spearheaded by soul member Andy Marshall, a lone wanderer profoundly telling tales and myths of his culture from the tops of the misty Caledonian mountains. Scotland we are in. Andy has carved a solitary but super important and strikingly inspiring path with Saor ever since his first album, Roots, in 2013. We're a decade on. Andy is set to release his fifth full-length album and premiere for Season of Mist, album called Origins, released June 24th, 2022. Now, I'm going to be straight up with you. I had a great time with this album. I had a great time before I even heard the full thing. Based off the individual single track itself, the title track. Absolutely blistering, wonderful time with that. One of my favourite Saor songs to date now. Simply thrilling. Absolutely loved it. So it's kind of like, well, that's that good. How good is the rest of the album going to be? And it is a fantastic album. I'm very excited to talk about it with you here today. For me, there are a few bands that evoke such strong emotions as Saor. That a decade on and about to release a fifth album, the band continues to deliver such incredible music as testament to the talent of Andy Marshall. Origins is an album that feels more Caledonian than ever, yet is incredibly expansive too. It might very well be the finest thing Saor has ever released. In fact, the title track, as I already said, and the album Closer is up there as one of the best tracks the band has ever written. The blend of intense guitar work, folksy atmosphere, blackened metal roars and melancholic grandness is sublime. A track that most, I think, at least for me it was very much the case, hitting play over and over again and again and again. In fact, when I went to listen to the album in full for the first time, I went straight to that track. I was like, let me hear that first, then I'll do it properly. But, you know, that is the last track. I'm getting ahead of myself. Before that, there's still so much great music to enjoy, starting with Call of the Carnix, a track that is about the Carnix itself, the ancient Celtic war horn. Something that makes a lot of sense as it works as a kind of call to arms dating back to the Picts. It's here that the focus on the riffs this album has becomes a lot clearer. There's quite a difference, I think, in the band this time around. There's a bit more focus on riffs. All whilst I'll continue to showcase that paganistic melodies and blackened intensity, that stuff we've grown to adore them for. It's such immense world building and storytelling continuing into the Punchy Fallen, a track that draws from the heavy metal playbook quite interestingly. Before the Ancient One sees Saor deliver a masterclass of grandiose melody, melancholic atmosphere and riff-driven black-infused heaviness. Everything you can think and love about this band is in these first few tracks, but with some new, fresh ideas too. With building rhythm and the ever-present sense of atmosphere, because can't forget that with this band. Aurora explodes into glorious life, a heavily instrumental track. The immense synchronization and structure makes for an incredible listen that will transport you from wherever you are to the Scottish Highlands, followed by Beyond the Wall, where chest-thumping group vocals complement the pagan vibe and the track descends into a blistering showcase of metal. Track after track of wondrous and enlightening metal music, Saor continued to push onward and upward while staying quite true to the core Caledonian sound. Origins, for me, it's a masterpiece of emotion and metal. Now, those are two words that I always think apply to this band, pretty much going back to the very start, emotion and metal. Saor have always made me feel personally anyway. I've taken a lot from them. I've become a big fan of the band, Andy himself as well, and the music that comes from that neck of the woods. And then of course you have the metal side of things where, you know, it leans towards the more blacker side of things, and that's an appealing thing to me as well. Puts two together, combine it so nicely. And there are lots of bands to do that too. Let's not pretend that atmospheric black metal and emotional black metal is anything like unique that Saor are doing, but the way they do it with this sort of Scottish tinge, this Caledonian Taint. That's what makes them so unique, and the fact that I think that comes through with the music, and I think it comes through stronger than ever on this album, makes this so very special. I'm still not sure if I'd call it the best album they've released, but the fact that I think it's in the conversation, and bear in mind it's not had the time with me that the other albums have. And I've always found with this band, the more I listen to the albums, the more I listen to the songs, it grows and grows in stature in my head. So I'm kind of thinking that Origins, considering how high I place it already, which is up there near the very top of what they've done, I'm thinking like, okay, this probably could end up being the best thing they've ever released. It just really caught me at a good time, I think, as much as anything else, particularly the title track, as I keep coming back to, where it still wows me, and I've probably listened to that songs. That might be in triple figures already, the amount of times I've listened to that song as well. Just really comes at a nice time when you're kind of just feeling that kind of music. I don't always think it's like, alright, I'm going to go for a drive, I'm going to drive to work, I'll put this album on. May not always fit that vibe, but again, it doesn't seem impossible. I'm just correcting myself as I said. I'm like, yeah, no, actually, I would put it on in my car as I'm driving to bloody work, because I love the bloody album. It's more the fact that the emotions and how it makes you feel in that, you know. I don't think it's depressing, or I don't think it's emotional in the sense that it makes you to cry and aspects like that. It's more that it touches you in your heart, your soul. It lifts those things, it buoys them, it drops you down, it runs you through a gambit of myriad emotions. I think that's amazing. Wow, and super important, having plenty to headbang to. Something as simple as that. It's in our website title, where you just want to go a bit crazy because the music's heavy, it's punchy, it's hitting you. You know, you throw your horns up, you want to pretend the air guitar. And as I said, the album has the riffs for that. This has it too. It's Origins, you know, it's Season of Mist debut for Saor, so that's really cool as well. June 24th, not too long to wait. I'm very interested to see what long-term fans think of this, but I also wonder if this is going to be your first experience of this band, what you take from it. You know what to do? Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com, as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon to help us out over there. That's patreon.com/gbhbl, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts, and of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal, what else is life for?